We go next door for all of our coffees, and we're really proud to support so many businesses here in Mount Barker and across the Adelaide Hills. And just to give you a bit of information about myself, I too am a business owner with my husband. We have a tiling and rendering business. I live up in Birdwood. I have 3 children. And so, like many of you in this room, I know what it's like to not have sick pay. This is from my husband's perspective. A holiday is a rarity in our home, and we are very keen to support other businesses in our region because we know how important it is, and small business is the backbone of our community, not just our community here, but Australia, South Australia. We are the biggest employers. We are the ones that government expects to be the employers of apprentices and of young people, and it is a big burden, but I think that collectively Australia has experienced the prosperity that we have because of small business. So just to give you a little bit about my background, yes, I am a politician now, but I've had a 25-year career, mainly in the area of law. I've been an office manager, managing large law firms, small law firms. Originally started out as a paralegal, and I did spend 6 years in politics, mainly as the legal advisor to Isabel Redmond, who I still consider a very good friend. And many of you probably would have seen in the media when I was a candidate that I did spend a few months with the previous member for Mayo, and I wish him well, and I'm absolutely delighted to have this role. It's a role that I cherish, but I realise it's such a privilege to represent us. So I've been invited here today to talk about a few things, and I'll start with the premise that I, unlike Sandy, I do not consider myself any expert on energy, but it is certainly a discussion within the Parliament that has really, I guess, consumed the Parliament for the last 6 months, and that's, I think, a good thing because it's important that we get energy right, particularly as we transition to sustainable energy as a nation. Just to give you, I guess, a little bit of what I see from a federal perspective, the economics of energy and the transition to renewables, I think, has been a bumpy road, and every state has managed it differently. I think that there is a role to play for the federal government to have a national oversight over this and to take a leadership role. Look, it's true that nobody is investing in new coal-fired power stations, but we are seeing a lot of investment in renewable energy, whether that's individuals or states. Certainly our state in the federal parliament has been blasted on more than one occasion, and a lot of it is really just politically fuelled around our transition to renewable energy. I think, though, that the policy uncertainty in a federal sense has made it very difficult for businesses to know how to invest. Do they invest in solar? Do you invest extensively in solar batteries? I think solar batteries will be our future, but I think that we are still sitting, and I was listening to Josh Frydenberg driving over here, in a policy vacuum where there has been too much blame game in politics around energy. I think there are solutions out there, but we need policy certainty in the federal space in order for investment to occur. As I said, I think battery storage will be the future, and I think that as time goes on, just like with solar panels, it will become cheaper and cheaper. The current regulatory framework in the energy sector, I don't think has been working effectively. We've had unnecessary load shedding, as many of us would have experienced in our businesses. Electricity supply is priced in 30-minute blocks. I have an app on my phone that shows the up and down price in South Australia at any one time, and it's actually in 5-minute increments, but we get charged in 30-minute blocks. So we do need a more fluid market. South Australia is in, I think, quite a precarious situation in the sense that we have one interconnector coming in, and actually the conversations around the interconnector and having a second in-connector and a true national grid actually started back in about 2002. I'm fairly sure former Premier Rand had that as one of his political platforms way back then. I was asked to give my thoughts on the state government plans and their intervention. While myself and my team broadly welcome what Premier Weatherall is planning, I think it's fair to say that it's a fairly expensive way to go, particularly compared to whether we continue to support Alinta for a couple more years while we transition. I do support that the emergency powers for the State Energy Minister. I think that that's welcome. I think that when we saw last year a lot of the instability that we had, I met with businesses and individuals right across the electorate, many of which lost power for days and days, had to throw away all of their stock, wasn't covered by insurance, and for many it was breaking point. Can I ask, with your businesses, how many of you lost power for more than 8 hours in the last year? Okay. Longer than 24 hours? Longer than 2 days? 3 days? Okay. I mean, you know, how can you manage business? How can you get by when we have that sort of instability? It needs to be addressed. So the plan to build a state-owned gas-fired generator, I think part of it is politics with the Weatherall government. I think that the adverts are very clever and we're all paying for a very expensive marketing campaign. But I do think that the mid-sized battery storage, I think that that's a good sign. I think it's a good signal, and ultimately we are going to need both our state and federal government to take some very proactive measures, I think some very progressive measures around energy, because all of us need it. And I think people didn't realise how much they relied on electricity until they were out of power for 4 and 5 days. And those who I talked to who were most concerned, aside from business owners who had huge losses, were older people. And so that's been many of the questions I've asked in our Parliament. Look, to talk about battery storage, SA Power Networks, they forecast that the cost of solar and storage to households and business will drop by around 15 cents per kilowatt per hour, and this is half the price of grid power. Look, that's great for those who can afford it. However, as the consumer base for the grid shrinks, I believe it will create upward pressure on those, particularly pensioners, who won't be able to go onto renewable, who won't be able to create their own power. A centralised electricity supply, look, this may eventually be priced out of the market altogether, and there's a great deal of concern around the equity issue. You know, how will our poorest in society be able to come along on this renewable energy ride? So, as part of energy, we thought as a team that we would take quite I guess, a practical response to it. And many of you would know our negotiations around the company tax cut, the $50 million threshold. I know that GetUp, many members of GetUp are very angry with us for supporting a $50 million threshold for company tax cuts. However, I found when I was out in the community talking to businesses that $50 million turnover is actually not that high. If you have a business, such as a petrol station, and you're making less than 1 cent a litre on your fuel, it's quite common for an independent small petrol station to have a turnover around 18 million. Our RGAs, most of them have a turnover somewhere between $12 and $20 million. We felt that it was fair to support those businesses, to give them actually a more even playing field against your Coles, your Woolies, a home hardware store, a family-owned hardware store generally has a turnover again at around that $15 million mark, because they're making such small margins on their purchases. So while it was played out as a big tax cut for big corporate business, I don't think that the facts do show that. So part of our negotiations to support the $50 million threshold, we thought it was a good opportunity to also get some energy reform as part of a suite of measures that we negotiated. So the first thing we did was a firm deadline to bring about changes to the National Electricity Market rules by the 1st of July next year. So if this is properly implemented, it should finally bring some additional investment and certainty into the electricity sector and decrease power prices. We thought it was important to have a use it or lose it policy for all of the multinationals that are sitting on massive gas reserves in the Bass Strait. Companies like Chevron, they have reserves that they're sitting on, tenements that they're not exploring, and that is assisting in driving up gas prices. So we said, look, a use it or lose it policy, so that if you are not exploring within 5 years, you can give an opportunity to a smaller company to come in and get some of those reserves. We ensured that there was $110 million put aside in a loan for the building, the fast tracking of the Port Augusta solar thermal plant. That plant is actually going to provide energy for around 110,000 homes, so really right across Eyre Peninsula and York Peninsula, and it'll bring a lot of jobs and investment into our state. We also thought it was important for small businesses to receive the benefit of pensioners having a $75 one-off payment if they're on their own, or $125 if they're in a couple for this winter, because what we know is that when people are paying energy bills, they're taking money out of the economy in other ways. So I think that the flow-on effects to support people who are on carers pension, people who are on age pension, will be a good benefit this winter. The plan is that that only needs to be a one-off payment because energy prices should, with the other market changes, go downwards, or at least not go up. I've been asked to chat a little bit about the NBN. Look, the NBN consumes my office. Between NBN and Centrelink, I have 3 staff that work entirely on those issues. We probably have around 20 businesses or individual residents who make contact with us every week about NBN issues for a variety of reasons. We've had businesses who have had the wires essentially cut right outside of their business, and they've been without a phone for days on end. So we've been working tirelessly with NBN Co, with the various telco providers, and then in instances where we can't get a result, we go knocking on the minister's door. So many frustrations. While many businesses are experiencing faster internet, if they are close to the node, it really is a lottery. How close is your business to the node? Are you in an area where there is fibre to the node? And what I'm seeing from talking to many real estate agents is that there's a big differential between areas where there's good internet connectivity for a business or a residence, and low connectivity. And some real estate agents are saying that they can see a 15% to 20% difference in house price, essentially based on internet. And certainly parts of our electorate that received fibre to the premises are getting snapped up very, very quickly. And I think that what we will see as time goes on is that that is a more and more important need as part of when you're looking for a home. As much as you're saying, do they have brand new bathrooms? Do I like the colours? Do I have to repaint this house? That's how much of a difference connectivity is. So you agree? Yeah. Okay, my concerns around NBN are wide-ranging. My concerns around mobile towers are endless, because what we noticed when we had those power cuts was that when we lost power, after a number of hours, we lost mobile phone tower power, and I asked the Prime Minister a question in question time on it, and do remember he was the Communications Minister, and he went into some elaborate response on South Australia being a socialist paradise, and my question was entirely on the fact that when the power goes out after 4 hours, and the power is sometimes deliberately cut. When we have a bushfire, the power's cut for our own safety. But after just 4 hours, the taxpayer-funded mobile phone towers go down. And I said, how can we have that battery storage length that, I think that they should have at least 12 hours on them. There should be a way that you can renew that battery life, because what we know with the new NBN is that as the rollout is happening and more people are losing their traditional phone lines, is that there is no way you can communicate. So if the mobile towers are down and you're on NBN and you pick up your landline, it doesn't work. That also means that a care alert button, which many of our older mums and dads have, do not work. And so while he went into this elaborate speech, he then came up to me after and said, "Are you sure, Rebekha?" I said, "Yes, I'm telling you, it does not work and you need to fix this." So that is something that I will be working very hard on this year. I've had many meetings with Mitch Fifield, the Communications Minister, but there is a real divide between Sydney MPs and regional MPs, and it's something that myself and the Nationals will work together on. I think we will put enough pressure on government that they can make some changes, certainly for mobile phone towers, to have a greater length of supply on them, so that we are not in such a vulnerable state. Because I would argue we're actually more vulnerable today with the changes to NBN and not having a phone that would last 4 or 5 days without power than what we were even during the 80s when we had Ash Wednesday. And I'm just very grateful that over the Christmas period we did not have significant fires in our electorate. So, I think I'll end with a couple of good things. So it's always good to end on good news. Firstly, as part of our negotiations around the backpacker tax, we secured the seasonal worker scheme. So what I noticed when I looked at maps of where we have high levels of unemployment and Australians who are unemployed is that that's the same area where there's a high demand for backpackers. And I thought, well, that's ridiculous. So we worked with government to create a 2-year trial. 7,500 Australians will be able, who are unemployed, who are either on New Start or youth allowance, will be able to maintain their payments and work and earn up to $5,000 in a year working in seasonal horticulture. Now, talking to lots of farmers, in our region we have strawberries, cherries, apples. They said, look, if we can get a good Aussie who at least gets out and tries it on the farm, we find that many of them actually like working out here, and we have a lot of jobs that are ongoing on farm, and a lot of opportunities to go up the ladder, to move on to machinery and to take on management roles on farm. And while many farmers need to employ backpackers, many of whom have limited English, there is a desire to employ Australians, and so this will give an incentive for unemployed people. There will also be supports for the Job Active Network providers to be part of this. I thought that was particularly important because they'll receive a small payment each week. It will encourage Job Active providers to put people that they think will be a good fit onto farm, and I think that it's a great way for us to encourage people can have something current on their resume. That's one of the biggest challenges for a person that's unemployed, is that they don't have anything recent on their resume. So I'm pretty excited about that. That'll start this July, and for our apple season, and then of course for our cherries coming into Christmas, there'll be a wider and deeper pool of people to employ from. Another program, it's a good news program, was just announced a few weeks ago, but I encourage you all to connect with it if your business is at that point, and that's called PATH. So the PATH program is a major investment by the federal government. It's something that we supported, it's not something Labor supported. What it will do is it will give an employer the opportunity to have a young person, and a person who's under 21, come and work for up to 12 weeks for free. The government will pay them their youth allowance payment. On top of that, they will receive an extra subsidy to help cover the cost of getting to your workplace. You will receive a payment of $1,000 to take them on for that work experience. If you find that it's a good fit with your business, you can receive a $10,000 payment from government to take on that young person. Up here, we have a youth unemployment rate of around 17%, which is incredibly high. It's one of the highest in the nations. When you add to that the number of young people who are underemployed, we're really looking at 1 in 3 under 25 are not working or not working what they would like to, how many hours they'd like to earn. So if you'd like some information on PATH, please send me an email. I have a few cards left. I was at Victor Harbour Community Forum last night until very, very late, probably why my voice is so croaky. But if you're comfortable giving me your card, I'm happy to flick off information to you about that. I think it's a really exciting initiative. I'd like to see a lot of businesses have the capacity to take it up in our electorate. I don't want to see it all going into the cities. So a couple of other things I'd like to share with you that are good news stories. We supported the ABCC legislation, and part of that was to ensure that we got procurement changes in our country. I know we talked about earlier about buying Australian. This is possibly the most exciting development as far as encouraging government to buy Australian that I think we've seen in this country for 20 years. So to give you a quick breakdown, and I'm on a procurement committee, a joint standing procurement committee, to ensure that this legislation is rolled out and properly implemented in the departments. When government, this is the federal government, seeks a tender for over $4 million, which is not a particularly large tender, they will need to look at not just the dollar cost of, say, this pen being $1, but where this pen was made and how much business stays in Australia from this pen, how many jobs are created by this pen. So they need to look at the whole of life costs and the whole of life benefit for every contract. What that should do is ensure that companies like Rossi Boots, made here in Australia, made here in South Australia, do not lose a tender in the future because their boots were 10% more expensive than an Indonesian competitor. And there's a lot of benefit to Australia, and particularly South Australia, for this. If Rossi Boots had received that contract, 42 cents in every dollar that was paid to them by government would have gone back in taxes, would have gone back in state taxes and federal taxes, and also ensuring that at least 20 more people were taken off the unemployment queue and earning a living. So it's about looking at that, a whole of cost and a whole of benefit. I think it's incredibly exciting. The committee that I'm on with Nick Xenophon, we recently were in Melbourne and meeting with a number of businesses. One business that lost a contract for another defence contract for supplying the ration packs for our army. He was, 10 years on, still very hurt by losing that. He had no idea how much, what difference he was in cost to the New Zealand competitor who won the contract, and now our army men and women are eating ration packs where 75% of the goods in the ration packs come from overseas. That is utterly ridiculous because there are so many businesses across that supply chain that are missing out. So it's not just the company that gets the contract, but it will be, we'll be looking at procurement the whole way through. So the fact that in those previous army ration packs, the fact that the fruit cake came from Australia is helping an Australian business. So right the way along, I think that there'll be a greater emphasis on buying Australian. I think certainly the state government has got a similar procurement policy now. I wish they had that before they built the RAH, because we really don't know where the steel came from for that build. But ultimately, if we're not going to be buying and supporting our own, and if the government's not doing it, then why would other governments support our nation? So I'll wrap up now with a couple of things. Stepping on from that procurement, I'm looking at a Geelong project that I think is very exciting around local procurement, and I'd love to come back and share that with you at some stage. So what the Geelong community has realised, the Geelong business community, is that when they've had various builds, everybody's been coming from Melbourne to build rather than using local suppliers and local businesses. So I'm really keen to examine what Geelong's been doing and how that they've created sort of rings of procurement so that local businesses are supported first, then state businesses, and then national businesses, and then beyond that, international suppliers. With the Clean Energy Finance Corporation, I've brought the Clean Energy Finance Corporation to the electorate. I think they'll be at the business breakfast. Following on from that, if you're keen, they'll be at Longview Vineyard at Maxfield. These are completely free. I met with the Clean Energy Finance Corporation a couple of months ago, and I said, look, come to the electorate. I'd love you to meet businesses in my electorate, help them to lower their energy costs by going renewable. They're the ones that helped fund and get off the ground the Sundrop Farms up in Port Augusta. And then on the 19th of May, I'm holding a budget breakfast. Nick Xenophon will come up to the electorate and give us a rundown on the budget. We've got just 2 weeks before the budget. I think, who knows what is going to be in the budget. I think it's going to be a budget for hopefully housing affordability, education and employment. But I'd be delighted if you'd like to come along to that, and we'll certainly give you a fair, honest and reasonable, non-partisan rundown of exactly what is in the budget and what that would mean for your business. So thank you for having me here. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take questions. And I will answer them unlike when I'm in question time. Yes.
Rebekha, it does affect the community, and it also does affect the federal government coffers. South Australia's got a work cover system, as you're probably aware, that come 30 June this year, there's many people that's currently on payments that are going to be thrown off payments on to Centrelink. They therefore have a 2/3 plus reduction of their income, which causes a ripple effect. You talk about ripple effects and other things. What is can you do, or what is being done? Because when lawyers generally talk about it, we had Tony Rossi down at Harmwell last night, and I asked the same question, but when lawyers talk about it, there's always self-interest thrown back at the lawyers. But what can anyone do to get publicity to get across these hardship cases? And there's going to be quite a few hardship cases, and I'm seeing that now when people come into my office worried about how they're going to survive and do they have to sell their house and where the dog's going to live because they can't get tenants with, tenant property animals. So I'm not sure you can comment on that. It's off the topic, I know.
Look, I don't know a huge amount about the state government's movement in work cover, only that work cover is incredibly expensive, and that's the reason why my husband and I have been reluctant to put on employees. But can I take that on notice and give you some information, because I'm thinking John Darley, my colleague in the Legislative Council here in South Australia, would certainly have some strong views on it. And I'd be happy to pass back some information, maybe to share at the next business breakfast. I think it's a real concern of people, because I know a lot of people have been waiting on work cover for a long, long time, and I know that the payments get cut, I think, 20% as they go down and down. And work cover certainly changed from a time, even a decade ago, where it was about getting somebody actively back into the workforce and or ensuring that they were received a payout that would provide them with supports throughout the remainder of their life. And I think that what we have been seeing from a few cases that have come into my office have been people who have gone through a miserable time, and there's this almost drive to actually make them quit work cover and not become a problem anymore to the state government. But it sounds like the state government are pushing people off themselves, perhaps to balance their bottom line. I'll be happy to find out some more information and come back to you.
You don't want any more constituents to come in, not rather than talk about NBN and sentiment.
Well, it's probably best that they come in and talk to me about federal issues, but there has been a few state issues, local issues that I've been keen to champion. One of them, you probably know, is that we now have an overnight doctor here in Mount Barker. We never had that before, but that's really just the start of what we need is a more broad regional health focus. And then there's some public transport issues that I've been happy to take down to the Minister. But I will obviously, because people coming in from a Centrelink point of view need to know some more information, so I'm happy to share that. Come back to you with some more information that I get from John Darley, if that's okay.
Just a quick question. You said about the PATH program for under 20-year-olds, under 21-year-olds looking for employment. Where do you find these people? Are they on a register, or how do you go about finding people? Because we'd love to take on someone and train them.
Yep, job active providers, and we have a transition to work provider here. All the links for PATH, but it's through your job active provider. All of them tended to deliver the PATH program, and what they do before the young person gets to you, the young person has gone